I first saw him one October evening in Madison, Wisconsin. I had just moved from Cleveland for a new job, and was still figuring out where the best coffee shops were. That particular evening, I was waiting for my friend Katie at this little cafe on State Street. The jazz was playing softly, the air was crisp, and leaves rustled outside the window. That's when I noticed him. Noticed is an understatement. It was more like the moment he stepped in. Time nudged me to look up. He wasn't dressed to impress. Jeans, a warm jacket, a scarf that looked hand-knit. But his eyes, thoughtful and kind, paused on mine for just a second too long. And something stirred. I quickly looked away, pretending to scroll through my phone. Moments later, Katie arrived with another friend. "Emily," she said, "this is Sarah, and this is Andrew. He just moved here from Chicago for a bit." I blinked, trying not to look surprised. "Andrew? The same guy." I shook his hand and mumbled a polite hello, acting like I hadn't just been caught watching him like he was a living scene from one of my sketchbooks. We talked, the four of us, mostly surface-level things. Madison's art scene, the best places for apple cider, work. Andrew was quiet but present, listening more than speaking, which made the few things he did say feel more meaningful. He smiled when I mentioned I was a designer. "That explains the way you look at things," he said, then added, "like you're seeing the shape behind the shape." That stayed with me. Over the next few weeks, we kept bumping into each other. At the same art exhibit, the same indie bookstore, the same weekend farmer's market. We'd say hi, then linger longer each time. The city, in its calm Midwestern way, kept pushing us into the same spaces, as if it was gently insisting we were supposed to notice each other. One Saturday morning, I found myself at Lakeshore Path, sketchbook in hand. I liked drawing there. It was peaceful, with the lake stretching wide and runners going by in quiet rhythm. I didn't expect to see him there too, sitting on the edge of the dock, hood up, notebook open. "Hey," I said, and he looked up. "You come here often?" I laughed at my own bad timing. "I do now," he said, and patted the spot next to him. We talked more freely that day. I told him about growing up in Cleveland, how I used to draw portraits of strangers in cafes, just to imagine their lives. He told me he used to build small wood sculptures in his grandfather's shed, and how he once tried to make a canoe but gave up halfway and turned it into a bench. I liked the way he talked, like each word mattered but didn't need to shout to be heard. As the season shifted toward winter, we started meeting intentionally. Cider at Tinny Park. Ice skating on a frozen pond, where I slipped more than I glided, and he caught me with this gentle laugh like he didn't mind one bit. At his apartment, we painted on small canvases and shared playlists over coffee. I realized I was waiting for his messages and smiling at his voice. One day, we were walking near the Capitol after a snowfall, everything white and glowing under streetlights. I finally said what had been pressing at the edge of my chest. "Andrew, I like being with you. It's easy." He paused, then looked at me, not surprised but like he was relieved. "I feel the same," he said. Like something found its place. It wasn't fireworks. It was steadier than that. Calmer. Like warmth settling in after a long cold day. He never rushed anything, never made big declarations. But he remembered my favorite tea. He once left a pencil I'd been eyeing inside my sketchbook with a note that just said, "Thought this belonged with your lines." We never said, "I love you" in a movie-style rush. It was in the silences, like the time I had a rough day and didn't want to talk, and he just sat with me, holding my hand. Or the time I got a freelance rejection, and he looked me in the eye and said, "They missed out. You're gold." That spring, when the ice melted and the lake breathed again, we took a walk on the trail where we first talked. The trees were just beginning to bud, and ducks floated lazily in the water. He turned to me and said, "Do you remember the first time we met?" I nodded. "State Street Cafe. You wore that gray scarf." He smiled. "You looked like you were waiting for more than just a friend." I laughed, nudging his shoulder. "And you looked like you were carrying a secret." "Maybe I was," he said. "Maybe it was that I already knew you'd get under my skin. Slowly. Permanently." And somehow, I knew exactly what he meant. Because by then he already had.